We talked about Giga, so let's also talk about his daughter, Katarina. And let's be completely honest, this character was terrible in Season 3. One of the worst in the game, in my opinion. And she was disliked by the community, which is so sad because, as you know, I actually really like this character. I think she's cool. I like the attitude. I like the legs. And it's a shame that she turned into a bit of a punching bag for the community. But that's what happens when you create a character around really aggressive pressure and then big, barely reactable lows. So it's not really her fault. It's like a design philosophy problem, right? But let's find out if she's any better in this season. There's one big change in here that is really exciting. It's something I've been asking for specifically for like years for this character. So I'm really excited to talk about that, but I'm just going to go from the top here. 1-1-2, you have less pushback on the final hit of this string. This jab string is a good string. It has all kinds of good extensions. And the 2 is just a plus on block high that you kind of use to kill new people online because they don't know about the +7, and then you stick them with a counter hit. And the fact that it has a little bit less pushback on block isn't going to change the way you use it at all, as far as I can tell. So not a major change. Next, Harrier 3, which is this big risky low from Harrier. This has received that blanketed change that we've seen in a lot of lows in the game in this season, where they're going to hit a bit higher, but the reason they have a higher up hitbox is because they want to make them easier to hit in turn with mids. So this is going to be much easier to hit with mids and interrupt, especially airborne mids like orbitals and hop kick. So it's a nerf to the crush properties of this move. And I don't have a problem with that. If you're using big seeable lows like this and your opponent is doing mids, then they should catch you with that, in my opinion. So that's fine. Okay, next. This is the big one. This is the huge change for Katarina that's going to change her a lot, in my opinion. I've talked a lot on this channel about how when Namco create mix-up stances, they try and get creative with the incentive for the opponent to duck, but they don't actually create it, and so the mix-up stance ends up being awful. I said it about Negan when he didn't have a low. They try to get cute with that unbreakable throw, but it's reactable and duckable, so it doesn't work. They did the same thing with Gigas and his Golem stance. They gave him the overkill throw, but you can break it on reaction. It doesn't work. So they had to give Negan a low. They had to give Gigas a low. And with Katarina, they also just gave her a 1+2 throw, but you can react to and break it, so it doesn't work. The only low is seeable, so it doesn't work. You have to give her a real low. And they finally have. Welcome to Harrier down forward 3. We talked about Gigas earlier, and I was talking about how I don't think that low is really going to save that stance because it's launch punishable on block and the extension is duckable and launch punishable. This is the real deal. This is a real mix-up low that's going to work from this stance. It's 23 frames to impact, so on the slow side, I would have loved this at like 21. I think that would have been balanced and really great. This is going to be semi-reactable for some people, but if you look at the animation, she kind of jumps up a little bit before she does it, and she does that in a lot of her Harrier moves. She jumps into the 4, she jumps into the up forward 3, she jumps into the 3, so I think it's still going to be difficult enough to react to properly that the low is really going to work. And apart from the iffy impact speed, the rest is great. It hits grounded. I've tested that. It works fine. And look, on block, it's only -12. It would have been so typical Namco to make this like -15 or 16, but they didn't. It's -12, and that's exactly what it should be. You're going to eat a somewhat substantial punish, maybe not even get knocked down. And what that does for the low is it creates a risk-reward ratio that is good enough for Katarina that she actually wants to use this low. You know, if you look at that Gigas low earlier, where you're probably going to get launched a lot of the time when you use it, it's just not worth it for you to attempt. But this is going to be worth for you to attempt a lot because of the low punishability. And the reward becomes even better when you consider the fact that it has counter hit properties. Look at this. You can run into a Stomp for a guaranteed 46 damage. If you don't want to dash in, you can get, you know, your Axis ramp, the classic up back 4 for 40 damage. So yeah, this low is solid. What a massive change for this character. And it's going to tie the entire room together for this stance, because the stance already has fantastic moves all over the place. You know, counter hit Harrier 2, counter hit Harrier up forward 3, wall bouncing Harrier 4. You know, it's a really solid stance, and her rage drive is also locked into this stance. So all of those moves just get more application now, and I think the main thing this down forward 3 is actually going to do is it's going to make people duck the stance often enough that you can start wall bouncing with your fantastic Harrier 4 now. There was never any reason for the opponent to get hit by this earlier, because they could just stand and wait and look at the stance, and if they saw the throw or they saw the low, they would duck. If they didn't, or they would break the throw or duck the low, and if they didn't, they could just stand block, and that way the option selected the entire stance if they had proper reaction speed. But now that this low exists, they have to deal with all of these moves. It's a massive design change and improvement for this character. Harrier has been useless for as long as the character has existed outside of combos. For combos, it's great, of course, but now it's a real mix-up stance, and it's a fantastic change. Next, down forward 1. This used to be -1 on block, which was very good. Then they took that away and made it -3, and they gave the -1 down forward 1 to Leroy instead. They've dialed back that nerf a little bit, so now it's -2, which I think is good. -1 would obviously be preferable, but -2 is good for a down forward 1. It's kind of standard, and it's going to allow you to set up your powerful counter hits with this character just fine. So I like the change. I think it's bigger than you would suppose, even though it is only 1 frame. But 1 frame on a down forward 1 on a counter hit heavy character is important. Next, and this is kind of a weird change, really. I don't exactly see what they're doing here, but the down forward 2-2 and the down forward 2-4 have had their impact speeds improved. And I'm not talking about the first hit, by the way. That's still 17, so that's the same thing. It's the impact speed the second hit comes out has been sped up. So from 27 to 25 and from 29 to 26 respectively. So I think what they've done here is, because this Katarina really embodies that dichotomy of, do you want to do a punishable mid or a safe high that can get ducked, and you have to choose, right? She has that with this string, she has it with this string, and I think this is to make the duckable option, the 4 here, a little bit more difficult to react to and duck. But honestly, the way it looks right now, it's still going to be very easy. If you're predicting this and you know you can duck that extension, you're going to have no trouble doing it. So I don't think it's a major change, unless there's some sort of change to the combo usage of this move that I haven't seen yet. But it doesn't seem to be the case as far as I can tell either. So it's kind of a whatever change. Next, down forward 3+4. This is your Tekken tail, your main tool for harassing defensive opponents from afar. It's very important for her. It's kind of risky, you know, because it is slow and -14 on block. So if you ever see it and you have a character who can launch from while standing with 14 or faster, you know, Bob, Kazuya, Eddie, then definitely launch Punisher for doing this. So this also has that blanketed change where it's going to be easier to catch this move with mids, which I think is fine. I don't have a problem with it. And also, like, when you're way out here doing it, she's so far out and she only sticks the leg in. So I think it's still going to be difficult to catch her when she's doing this move. Next, down 1 has more pushback on block. Don't think that's huge either. Down 1 is a good move. It's like Knee's favorite move when he's playing Katarina. On the rare occasion that he does, he uses this move a lot. And it is great. I don't think the pushback on block is going to be a major change, though. You can tell it's not big enough that you're going to really create a lot of safety for it. And it's already safe on block anyway at -7. So, yeah. Next, down 3-4. This is only -1 on block now. It used to be -4, but then again, they can still duck it. And then you have to start mixing in the down 3-3 to keep them honest with the mid. So there you go. It's not a huge string for her that she uses a lot either. Next one is kind of interesting. Down back 3, the slide shoot. This is like your favorite move if you don't like Katarina. It's the low that gives her the guaranteed up back 4 at the wall. This is going to impact slightly faster. Well, it's kind of weird because it used to have an impact range of 24 sorry, of 25 to 27. Now it's going to have 24 to 25. So potentially it's going to impact 1 frame faster, but some of the time it will still impact at 25, which is what it had for its lower range earlier. So it's a really minor change, but I guess if that 1 frame can mean you get away with 1 more of these in a round, then that's going to make a big difference for you because it's a lot of damage. But I don't think it's going to be huge. And if you used to be able to react to this low, you're still going to be able to do it in the future. Next, down back 4. That's the Snake Edge. This has also been made easier to hit with mids. It's going to have nerfed crush properties, and I think that's fine. If Katarina is doing Snake Edges and you're doing mids to catch the Snake Edge, then she deserves to get hit. Don't have an issue with that at all. Next is a really great change. Her back 3+4. This is her backswing blow. It's underutilized, but I use this a lot. I love this move. I think it's fantastic. It's -14, right? But people very rarely block this because they don't know about it. And you see there's a lot of space right there. It's difficult to punish. It's got great evasive properties. It does a lot of damage. It wall splats. It's just a fantastic move overall. So they gave the first hit of this string 5 more damage. Now you can see that if you're close to them, you get 2 hits for 35. The second hit has a lot more range, so a lot of the time you're only going to hit with the second hit, and when that happens, you're not going to get that extra 5 damage. It's a really nice high damage wall spot when you do, though. But they also improved the tracking properties of the move, meaning that it's going to be more difficult to step and walk. So great change. I love this move. It's going to be even better at the wall now. One of my favorite moves of the character. So this coupled with that change is enough for me to be excited about playing this character in Season 4 actually. Next, 4424, weird move for this character. They gave her this and it was a huge buff because it's, you know, in brackets a 12 frame to impact launcher. It used to jail, which made it fantastic. That really improved this character, but then they took away the jailing property and then they slashed the damage in half and made it kind of crappy. So the only real application they left you with, because you can't do it on somebody who's blocking because they're going to duck and launch you, right? The application it has left is whiff punishment, and that didn't really work either because the range was bad. When you did 442, she used to stop much faster than this. So what they've done is they've given it much more range. It travels further, as you can tell right here. And that means that it is actually a good whiff punisher now. So I think you're going to be able to use this because of the great impact speed, right? It is still very fast. You still won't get good damage. It's still a very low damage launcher, but if you're good at reacting to and seeing those fast whiffs, you can get a lot of damage for a punish with this. So it's a cool move now. Just don't get it blocked because they're going to duck you and then you're going to get launched. Final change. They buffed her Stomp, which is interesting. So she has this Stomp down 3+4. They gave it 3 more damage, so it's gone from 25 to 28. And then they also improved the frame data. It's doing 70% scaling there, which is why you see 19. But it's a change of 3 damage. They also improved the frame data because this used to be a launch punishable on block at -20. Now it's only -12, and that's actually really cool because what you can do now is if you're, for example, using the Stomp on a grounded opponent at the wall and they get up and block it, you're not going to get launched punished. You know, -12 is really quite forgiving, and then on hit it's gone from -9 to -1, so I think that's very reasonable as well. You're not going to get advantage for hitting with this. The way you're meant to use one of these Stomps at the wall is like you use it on a grounded opponent, and if they get up standing, it hits. If they stay on the ground, it hits, and if they block it, you get a punish. But it's not supposed to be able to create pressure for you. So I think this is fine. It's really cool that it's just -12. You know, it's not a lot at all. And so is this low. The new coolest move that she has. I like the animation. It's so much better than, you know, this thing that they gave her earlier, which is just still super awkward and crappy, as is this. And she still has a nerfed range on her hop kick. So she's a far cry from the super cheesy Katarina that we had in early Tekken 7, but I really like these changes, and I'm going to be using her a bit in Season 4. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be moving on to the next character for now.